Wait, this is Jill Sander. Oh my god. Either I'm losing my sense of smell, or they're all the same. Oh my god. What am I going to do?
Hi friends, welcome to my channel. I'm Meliora. Today we're talking about a very special yet beloved category of fragrances. It really materialized itself into its own family of fragrances rather recently, though I got ourselves like a collection of 10, and I also this time I did my homework. I actually created two sets of 5, so you can not just listen to me talking like and blabbing about them, you can actually get those sets for I think a very adorable price and test them with me. Otherwise, let's just keep watching, I'll tell you all about them. Otherwise, I hope that my descriptions will be helpful and somewhat informational for you. I still heavily recommend that you try to get samples before you buy full-size bottles because, as I probably has already revealed in the intro, I realized that most of them are so close together in the olfactory space that either I'm anosmic to something here or I grossly overshopped this category. So I'm gonna show you the top 10 fragrances from this particular category of makeup fragrances. They're of different years, of different brands. Some of them are niche, some of them are designer, some of them are more historic, some of them are bestsellers. So basically, I got you covered. We got like a really good spectrum here. I had to make a lot of tough judgment calls because makeup-y / lipstick scents are not the same, are not the same as powdery scents, but those that are mostly irisy or musky, skin-like or leathery scents or almondy scents, all types of powdery scents. I have a whole like its own chapter in my olfactory library. You can watch that video. I'll try to link it down below if I don't forget, but basically just like search powdery scents and you'll find them. When it comes to makeup scents, I dare say they're close together, and sometimes with something like Lipstick On by Maison Margiela, that is, people immediately think of when we start talking about powdery makeup-y, lipsticky type of scents. It's very easy to kind of mix them together. I dare say makeup-y and lipsticky scents are quite distinguishable from just powdery scents. And to that matter, let's start from the first one. The one that probably, if you ask the internet that question and you're like the first answer you get will be 2 fragrances. First will be Maison Margiela Replica Lipstick On, that is sort of discontinued, maybe not. The last time I looked, I couldn't find it anywhere in the big distribution centers, but you can still easily find it on eBay and like in other kind of secondary marketplaces. To me, this is more powdery than makeup-y or lipsticky. I actually think the title is misleading in this case. It has a really good thick layer of somewhat prickly, a little bit dusty powder in it that I wouldn't really connect with a smell of something cream-like, leathery, like a really good nourishing thick balmy cream that you put on your skin. And this is what I really associate with makeup lipstick, and something that is souffle-like but not a literal gourmand, something that is sweet but not flowery sweet. It's just this really cocoonish, nudie, skin-like, creamy, soft, very well-rounded scent. And the better example of that would be the second most popular answer that you can find on internet, which is Frederic Malle Lipstick Rose. That is a pretty much dead-on but more powerful in kind of voluminous dupe for the smells of L'Oreal lipsticks, like the classic ones. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just go into any aisle of makeup aisle, just open the lipstick or like buy one if you don't want to like contaminate it, and just smell it. This is the smell of a lipstick as it used to be formulated with different oils and kind of rose type of flavoring. not my favorite type of makeup smell, to be honest. So if you really are craving something like that, lipstick rose, there's nothing better than this. There's nothing more powerful, longer lasting, or bright when it comes to makeup-y rose smell than that. And you can find the travel sizes for, I think, a fairly affordable price depending on where you get it. Like, is it Bloomingdale's, and it's gonna be probably $30 to $50. If it's secondary market, probably $20 to $40. That said, I hate it. I just don't like the smell of L'Oreal lipsticks, and therefore I didn't really love the lipstick rose by Frederic Malle. It basically just evaporated. My decant just kind of gone to waste because it was so persistent and so vibrant that me not liking the idea, the concept of that scent made it impossible to wear. So I got another 10 that I find to be a much more soothing, cuddly, and or elegant versions of a lotiony, makeup-y lipstick like perfumes. I'm gonna start with an old favorite of many people, a very well-known perfume, which is Pure Poison by Dior. Oddly enough, it didn't get as much of a cult following that the original Poison and Poison Flankers got, but I think it has a fair number of devotees, me being one of them. I wouldn't say that this is like my signature scent, something I would die to have, but when the first opportunity I got to swap it for something else, I got it from a perfume enthusiast friend of mine. Pure Poison is what I call a slightly dusty orchid type of vanilla scent. This is a purely conceptual, meaning not found in nature kind of idea. The orchid vanilla is created by the perfume industry, and I love the concept. This is the orchid vanilla that is not as heavy and poignant and aggressive or animalic that as the, let's say, Tom Ford or like other like vanilla, orchid vanilla type of options. This is basically angelic, very nudie, very cocoonish, very souffle-like in the way that it sits on the skin and the way that it presents itself in the air type of vanilla. Very comfortable, charming, very cuddly scent. In many ways, if you really don't want to search for anything, or you're just browsing the shelves of like generic department store, this is the kind of scent you can at least try and smell to get an idea of what kind of makeup-y, lipsticky, lotiony type of scents really exist. What do they represent? To me, this is something that can easily be found and is always a delight, unless you don't like nudie, makeup-y, creamy type of scents. The next one would be the Flanker by Jil Sander. This is Jil Sander's Simply Poudre. Much cheaper option, but a little bit harder to find. So you have to exercise your Googling skills a little bit with this one. But in many ways, this one is one of the best kind of your dollar to the quality options that I'm gonna show you today. Because even though it has the same, they all have about the same tendency of being very finely milled, kind of milkshakey, lotiony, creamy. But this one kind of distinguishes itself, first of all, by absolutely amazing quality of packaging. Like, even though this and this is plastic, this is a hard acrylic plastic. It has the, I always struggle to how to explain it if you can't really touch it. It's the kind of hard plastic that is so polished that it gives you almost a feeling of glass. The liquid is semi-transparent, pink, kind of cloudy type of juice. And the way that it distinguishes itself in terms of olfactory design is that it has less of a dusty feel and more of a rice powder kind of feel. It makes me think of those gelée Asian desserts when you get like a gelée with coconut, pieces of coconut gelée, the sort of coconutty milky rice pudding kind of thing. That's what it makes me think of. It's incredibly comfortable, very affordable if you know where to find it. The next one is going to be a historic, and therefore now we call it niche perfume, that not many people know, but I find it to be basically the golden standard of makeup-y, lipsticky type of iris perfume. This is Iris de Champs by Houbigant. The house of Houbigant for the longest time was in real turmoil. As far as I know, recently they got rebought, and the new owner is trying to sort of revive their truly impressive history and craft, how they used to make perfumes. So I'm still not sure where we stand in terms of the state of being discontinued or reformulated. It's still a mystery, so I'm very hopeful that they'll be able to pull it together. But if you can find it online and you're looking for the most elegant but creamy type of iris, look no further. Seriously, this is paragon of makeup-y, lipsticky, creamy type of iris. Iris de Champs is probably, let me double check. Yeah, it's the most elegant of the bunch that I'm gonna show you today. The fact that it's lotiony and creamy, but yet it has a little bit of kind of this kind of dry, almost like old paper type of iris. It doesn't go into the territory of like edible, vanilla cream type of perfumes, which have their own place. It's just they're not truly representative of lipsticky and makeup-y, lotiony kind of scents. So this is probably the absolute paragon of what I call makeup-y scent. And the packaging is beautiful. Again, you are not only buying a beautiful scent, you're buying it in a historic, really beautiful design of a bottle from a truly amazing house that I hope will make a splendid comeback. Beautiful. I will include all of these three in the set, so you can actually try them all and compare them together. The next one that we're going to talk about is going to be, let's look at another niche. Citizen Queen by Juliette Has a Gun. So here we get this kind of like Nivea type of cream scent that has a bit of a different blending. So it starts a little sweeter, a little fuller, almost a little more flat and loud than the previous three that we discussed, but it lands on the more suede, like warm suede type of base. Now to the hard part of this review. And I almost wanted to make a dedicated video about this, but I think I'll try to fit it here because it's definitely the right category for them. The 4 flankers of Shalimar, all of which have such similar notes and comments on various websites where people discuss perfumes, that it's dizzying trying to choose the right one for you. So I hope my efforts will pay off, at least for some of you. And also, again, you can try all of these fragrances and buy like little samples from me if you want to try them. And we're talking about various Shalimars. Shalimars that are not as lemon vanilla as the classic one, but more of a irisy, makeup-y, smooth, kind of like almost dessert type of Shalimars. So here I have 3 full-size bottles and 1 decant. First and foremost is probably the most famous one of those is Shalimar Souffle. I bought a 30 ml bottle and completely killed it. It's basically now empty. I just have enough to do comparative swatching, kind of like comparative smelling exercises. I have Shalimar Souffle de Lumière, which is a kind of replacement that I decided to get to sort of vary it a little bit. And much harder to find, but soon to be re-released, For those of you who are crying that they couldn't get their own bottle, this is Shalimar Initial. As far as I know, Guerlain promised that they are preparing a re-release of this perfume with its own name and probably its own bottle. Nevertheless, back in the day when it was released, I think the model for it was Natalia Vadanova. It was allegedly a flop. People were not really relating to it at all, and it's true that it's very far from original Shalimar design in terms of the olfactory design. So I kind of like relate to the confusion, like why wasn't it given its own name instead of its own space. But if you forget about that contradiction, that it probably shouldn't be called Shalimar at all, it's a really, really beautiful packaging, incredible perfume in like, given that this is like just a designer perfume market, you know, something that has incredible low budgets in terms of like the cost that that the perfumers are allowed to spend per bottle, like per 100 ml of a perfume. It's very well designed, very well made, and right now, as we're experiencing a huge nostalgia for all kinds of lipsticky, makeup-y scents, I think it is very, very relevant for consideration. All right, so when we're talking about souffle type of Shalimars, I'm just gonna do a comparative description of the four, and I hope that will help you to make your decision, since I obviously overshopped and I clearly see now you only need one of them. Okay, let's start from the one that came out first. That was Shalimar Initial. Since it's going to be re-released, I find that it will be useful. Again, a lot of people are chasing it around the internet. I think it will be useful for me to kind of comparatively describe the coveted one with a lot of options that are easily available on the market. This is the sweetest of the four, and in many ways it is kind of the least interesting, I find, because the rounded kind of like rosy makeup-y lipsticky type of sweetness here is not really well balanced by anything else. In many ways it just sits a little bit flat, especially when you compare it to the souffle flanker. So souffle, and I already have a spray of it here, has a little bit more of this kind of like what I call IKEA smell, you know, like a contemporary, abstract, smooth, like white plastic polish that I find on a lot of contemporary niche and some of the 90s perfumes. This is what I call like mono accord. It's something that doesn't really have a lot of depth or complexity, but something that is very tightly kind of blended together and just presents a uniform front. You smell what you smell, and all that you're going to experience in space and time is just gradual decrease of volume of that particular scent, but not much of any kind of development of it into something else. So Initial is probably the most gourmand of the four, and to me less interesting, therefore it's the sweetest. Souffle is really interesting. I enjoyed wearing it. It's a great perfume without like any kind of seasonal belonging or any kind of restrictions, that it's good for work, it's good for daytime, it's cozy enough to be worn with pajamas, it's charming enough to be worn for dates. It's just, you know, like it's a very wearable, elegant, contemporary perfume that you can find in a beautiful, just mesmerizingly beautiful form factor and considerably affordable price. Therefore, I find that Shalimar Souffle by default to me is more interesting, has a little bit more pedigree than the Shalimar Initial. When I replaced it with Shalimar Souffle de Lumiere, however, I was really hoping for even more creamier, even more flirtatious and romantic version of the Souffle. and this is definitely true, it is a little bit more toward edible gourmands. It really reminds me of lemon tart or like lemon cream type of scent, which makes it a little bit flat, like more not as, it's not as cool. I find like the souffle has a little bit of this kind of like, you know, like uptown coffee shop type of feel, while souffle de lumière a little bit more accessible, just, you know, like a cupcake type of place that is a little bit more girly, a little bit less sophisticated, a little bit less uptight in a way, but therefore it might not be as alluring to some people who prefer more kind of brainy, more cerebral type of perfumes. I enjoy wearing it, but I do find that it's a bit juvenile in the way that it portrays itself. And now the fourth one. A subscriber made my dream come true and sent me a generous 5 ml decant of Shalimar Souffle Intense. This is the last flanker that I couldn't quite put my hands on, and I started like, after I got 3, you know, I started getting a bit worried that I'm over shopping this line a little bit, just a little bit. So I drew the lines like, okay, I'm just gonna let this flanker go, not interested. Oh my god, I'm happy that she did send me a decant, because Shalimar Souffle Intense is the best of all worlds. It's brighter, a little bit more tenacious than the original souffle, yet it's not, it does it not through being more lemony or more zesty like Lumiere, which brings it to like lemon tart type of territory, and not through sugary sweetness like Shalimar Initial, but rather through like something else. Like there's like they basically took all of this cerebral kind of contemporary, you know, uptown coffee shop, almost like semi-industrial type of feel, and just amped the volume of that. So it became way more urban, way more cool, way more noticeable, with a little bit more bravado behind it. And undoubtedly, the one that I don't have a full bottle of, but the one that I like the most out of the all 4 is Shalimar Souffle Intense. To me, this is just like such a cool type of fragrance. I could easily see like over a dozen of contemporary niche houses like releasing something like that and charging like $300 for it, while it's fairly easy to find on the internet. I'm kind of having devious ideas of buying myself a full-size bottle and maybe like letting go of the other 2. I don't know, just saying. I'm just saying I'm tempted, all right? This is it. I hope it was somewhat useful. I'm kind of curious to know, what did you think would be the most appropriate scent to represent the lotiony, makeupy, lipsticky type of perfume. I do find that these scents, even though are often marketed toward women, wear amazingly on men. Because, again, I don't want to sound like a gendered cliche, but guys' skin tends to be a little bit more, it grabs musks and zesty perfumes really well, but when you combine a softer, like a lotiony type of perfume with a rather, you know, tough or serious appearance, be it men or women, it just creates this delightful contrast. It's like a very seductive juxtaposition of different qualities. So I'm kind of curious, if you're a woman, do you like makeupy lotiony scents? Do you wear them? What's your favorite? If you're a guy, do you consider this to be too far gone? Are you too afraid to try to go into that territory? I don't find anything gendered about a scent. You either like it or you don't. So I can easily see a great variety of people rocking the scents in various occasions. So I'm just curious to know what you guys think. If you're a man or woman, like, do you like makeup lotiony scents on yourself, on others, maybe more like a room spray, like, you know, like just something that surrounds you in the environment? Tell me everything. I'm just waiting for your feedback, waiting for your comments. If you're curious to kind of test drive them yourselves, I'll leave the links to the sets below. Hopefully you found this video somewhat informational or at least entertaining. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you in the next video.